this story, I was right. It was what I thought it was. Arthur was raised in a brothel, and I actually kind of like all that stuff.
Yeah.
When the movie is letting Guy Ritchie do his Guy Ritchie thing of, hey, we're all essentially street toughs in a gang in the criminal underworld, and it's all these kind of like quirky dudes with like nicknames who are, kind of acting as like street enforcers of order because you can't trust the cops. Like that stuff actually, I'm fine with it, and having that as an origin story for Arthur, I kind of like it. Actually, it's different. It's a completely different take because obviously Arthur is usually he is an orphan raised by someone who isn't his parents, but it's usually like Sir Ector, right? And so he is a squire. He is not the favored son or anything like that. So he is automatically always an underdog, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's Arthur's whole thing. So, Ritchie's not wrong for, doing this twist. I actually kind of like it. And I like the idea of Arthur coming up from the streets. And although, yes, he is the, son of Uther Pendragon, and we do have a whole pulling the sword from the stone thing. Like, he is destined to it.
Yeah, he's the chosen one.
He is always the chosen. I mean, good Lord, they have him, like, floating down the Thames in a basket at one point like he's Moses. Although I will say, what's interesting about that is, oddly enough, and I know they have no idea about this, in the 12th, 13th century Middle English text of Lachmann's Brut. Lachmann was a writer, and he wrote a Brut is a medieval history of Britain, or later that became applied specifically to the Arthurian stories. But it all comes from like Brutus, and as the legendary founder of Britain and the namesake. And like I don't want to get into the whole because that's like you're getting into Geoffrey of Monmouth, and before him it was like Isidore of Seville and all this stuff. But the thing is, Lachmann actually has Arthur floating from sea onto Britain, right? That's where he comes from at one point. And I guess he comes from Elfland or something. Like, yeah, I know. But so oddly enough, him floating into town like that as a baby, it does have a precedence. There is absolutely no way in the world that they know about this. This is purely a Moses thing, and that's fine.
Or like it sounds like this is a ton of scripts that had been floating around. Like I think there's at one point they were going to make a movie, and I think Jack and the Beanstalk was released, and that flopped hard.
Oh my God!
Killed a lot of stuff.
I completely forgot that there was a Jack and the Beanstalk.
Yeah.
Oh my God! There were so many movies like this in the early 21st century. We're gonna say like pretty much before COVID, right? Yeah. COVID is kind of a stopping point for Hollywood.
Yeah.
For the most part. So between 2001 and 2020. Yeah, there was a whole bunch of garbage. Like, I
mean, yeah, it's the twin towers of Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter.
Yes,
like that they were just chasing over and over again.
Of course, I mean that's the thing. So much goes back to the fact that, as you say, Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter were huge hits, and their influences are slightly different, but they're both about using fantasy, right? And I feel like Lord of the Rings is much more the influence here.
Yeah.
Right. But there was a whole
obviously.
Well, yeah, of course. But
Scene 1.
Yeah, I know. We'll get into the elephants.
Yeah.
But what gets me is there was a lot of stuff. There was like Snow White and the Huntsman. Mm-hmm. As you said, there was Jack and the Beanstalk. There was like that Brothers Grimm movie.
Yeah.
Like there was all kinds of stuff, all kinds of fantasy movies that were all like chasing the idea of like this is what everybody wants now. And yeah, we want it when it's good, but we don't want it when it's not good.
Yeah.
And there's a lot out there that's just not good. Or it just looks like the film itself, if you just sat and saw it purely without any context, maybe it's fine. But we're so inundated with the same thing over and over again. And one of the problems is they all look the same. They all have the same washed out, digitized palette. It's all the same CGI. The fight scenes end up always being kind of the same thing. There's never anything that interesting about fight scenes, right? Mm-hmm. The only fight scene I can think of that is interesting at all. Like obviously, Lord of the Rings is its own thing, but the only fight scene I can think of that ever has stuck in my mind is that one scene with the Avengers.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Is that in Civil War or is that in a different
one? I think Civil War, yeah.
You know, where you've got like Ant-Man is now giant and Spider-Man comes in and
like the rest of the movie wasn't any good, but that one scene was amazing.
Yeah.
It was like everything we'd been waiting for. Like, oh my God, you actually did something interesting.
Right.
You know?
And it's like the one thing that sticks in your head. And I don't even remember which movie that's in.
I think it was Civil War.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was that or Age of Ultron.
It ends with the Bucky, Cap, and Iron Man fight.
Which is a great fight.
On an elevator.
That's a great fight.
Yeah.
Okay? That's actually a fight I want to watch. Mm-hmm. But so many of these movies, it's just CGI garbage. I liked that first Wonder Woman movie, right? It ends in the same CGI garbage. Mm-hmm. I hated that second Wonder Woman movie because it was 90% CGI garbage.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this film has a lot of CGI garbage, and it gets worse as the film goes on.
Well, also this film, I didn't really realize while we were watching it, but it was definitely kind of the last gasps of 3D.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
This was definitely a 3D, showing off what 3D can do thing.
And you know
not that we saw.
Well, no, we didn't see that at all because we just, watched this on television.
Yeah.
And no, I mean, yeah, I guess that's what they were doing, but nobody wants 3D movies. Nobody wants VR movies. Nobody wants any of this stuff.
Like you want it when you're 13 for like 5 weeks, and then you see one, you're like, oh, okay, now I've done it.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. When you're an adult, this is not. Yeah. It's a gimmick, and then. We've been here before, right? We've done this before. They did this in the 50s, and nobody, it was unsustainable. Nobody really wanted it for the, and the thing is, like, it's not like there weren't, like, wasn't Creature from the Black Lagoon maybe 3D or something?
Well, I don't know if that was 3D, but they tried to do it in 3D on Channel 48 when I was growing up.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
But there was a big 3D thing back then with like House of Wax?
Yeah, that might be right. Yeah, it was a big craze, and then it went away because nobody really cared that much.
Yeah.
And then yes, in the aughts and the teens, there was a big 3D thing again. And again, the only movies I can think of that were interesting for being 3D was Coraline and Gravity.
Like Avatar was good.
I still haven't seen Avatar. I don't think I'll ever see Avatar at this point, just out of spite. We even went to Disney World. You went to Avatar Land, and I'm just like, yeah, see you later, buddy.
Yeah, I didn't do any of the rides. I just kind of walked around to see what it was, and it was all right. It was fun. I don't know. Avatar, it's definitely a 3D experience. It's definitely like just, let's see what they spent money on. Oh, they spent a lot of money,
I just, I don't know. It doesn't do anything for me. I've seen Dances with Wolves. I don't know. But so this, I didn't realize was supposed to be a 3D movie, but once you say that, boy, that makes a lot of sense, especially in that opening scene.
Yeah, like these elephants and they're swinging balls around.
All right. Let's actually start with this. Okay, so the movie starts with Uther still alive. And actually, Arthur is a little older than a toddler, but basically a toddler.
Yeah.
And
so get your glasses on to read the small print on the screen.
Yeah. I have
one thing.
Boy, I realize that obviously this was made to be seen in a theater on a big screen, but even then, the print on the screen was so small. Like, yeah, okay, I'm middle-aged, I wear glasses, but I'm like about to get out of my seat and walk up to the television to read
this. It's like there's 4 of us all like leaning in, dog squinting.
It was terrible. I could not read what was on the screen. And I'm like, that should not be the case. Even if you were in a theater, I'd still be kind of like, come on, man. So yeah, we find out this is Camelot, and the evil wizard Mordred is attacking the castle. And okay, so first of all, I'm just like, wait a minute. That seems backwards because Mordred, of course, is the son of Arthur. And no, here Mordred is an evil wizard who lives before, is alive at the same time as Arthur and is older than him and is attacking Camelot because I guess there is a war between mages who are kind of like a separate people and everybody else. So we're in like the actual post-Roman Britain time period because, at one point, after this opening scene, we go to Londinium and they call it Londinium, and I appreciate that. And of course we go to London because it's Guy Ritchie.
I wonder if there was ever a point where they were going to say they were druids.
Well, that's a good question. I mean, that would have been wrong because druids are not a separate species.
Like the English fighting the druids.
Oh my God. Well, But no, I mean, they have these mages, and like, it almost implies that they're almost like elves, but they're not because they look like people.
Yeah.
It's just that they can do magic.
They can roll their eyes in their head.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of whom is played by Aidan Gillen. That's his name, right?
He's a regular guy. He's not a mage.
No, isn't he a mage?
No, he's just a street tough.
He's like the people who live in the woods in the cave. Those are mages.
Oh.
Like the street toughs all live in London.
Yeah, but he lived in London too, remember?
No, I thought he lived
because he was the one that was bleeding, and
right, later in the film they come back to London.
Yeah. But early on, he's the one that's hiding that Arthur says, "Oh, I don't care about him. You can take him." And the Blacklegs take him.
See, I thought he was living in
and then when they meet again in the forest, they're like, "Oh, and by the way, here's this guy. You turned in Littlefinger, and now he's gonna." Because his Littlefinger.
Yeah,
it's
fair,
not like
but
he's playing a different character.
No, he really isn't. But I really thought he was one of these mages because
he might
look,
be.
Here's the thing: the film isn't that clear.
No.
Okay. Like it's not like I wasn't paying attention to the film.
Yeah.
All right. It's just that not everything gets like there are a couple times where everybody's just kind of like, wait a minute, why is that person doing that thing? And we all had to explain to each other what character motivations were. Yeah. So like this is not the most coherent of films.
Plus he does his like backwards explaining thing.
Like Ritchie's script. He does his tricks, which is. It's a lot like if you haven't seen any of his films, but maybe you've seen Ocean's 11, the whole thing where they'll explain like whatever caper they're about to pull off, and they'll show you it happening while they're explaining it, and so they're kind of showing future actions at the same time present things are happening, and the timeline gets a little jumbled in a way that I rather enjoy.
And sometimes the words don't match what's actually happening, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a technique that I happen to like.
Yeah,
and again. When the film is doing this, that's actually when I enjoy it the most.
Mm-hmm.
The film opens and Mordred is attacking Camelot and Uther Pendragon is fighting off his war elephants. And
these are kaiju elephants. These are it's like this. Some studio head was like, well, I want Lord of the Rings, but like 10 times as big as those elephants. I don't want these elephants. I want polyphants. I don't know.
They are insane. Yeah, they are megaphants. These are insanely huge elephants. I can't even just tell you what to compare them to because, like, I've seen the size of like a blue whale. Right? We've been to the Natural History Museum or whatever it's called in New York. We've seen giant animals. This thing is so big, as you say. This is big. This is Godzilla-sized elephants.
Have you ever seen the video game Shadow of the Colossus?
Yes, that's what this looks like.
Yeah, it's like that.
Yeah. Okay.
But elephants.
So you've got Shadow of the Colossal elephants,
yeah.
And just as an aside, I realize that the reason they put that in there is probably Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And what bothers me is that they don't realize the reason Tolkien put them in there is because
what?
Hannibal.
Oh, yeah.
Hannibal's elephants.
Sorry, yeah.
Like, I'm just fascinated by the fact that Hannibal's elephants made such an impression on the European mind. No, I'm serious, because like you have the same thing in Star Wars. What's an AT-AT?
An dog.
No. What?
It's a dog.
That thing's an elephant.
Okay.
What do you mean it's a dog?
It's a dog.
An AT-AT is not a dog.
It's a dog, and then like the ATSTs are chickens.
No. First of all, the only dog in Star Wars is Chewbacca.
That's true.
He's a dog. Those things are elephants.
Okay.
What, Dennis? Have you ever seen a gigantic dog in a war? No, those are war elephants. I'm serious.
Okay. There's pretty big
Look,
dogs.
You get me, George Lucas, on the line.
All right, you're probably right.
Yeah, they're war elephants.
Yeah.
The war elephant is such an insane idea, right? Like, I'm going to bring these elephants with me over the Alps, and we're going to use them to attack Rome. And of course, so Tolkien puts them in Lord of the Rings, and they put them in the film, and they're impressive in the film. And so what does this movie do? It's just like, oh, well, we can do so much better. We'll make them the size of Godzilla.
They're the size of Godzilla. They have like these basically pyramids on their backs.
Yes, pyramids on their backs where the mage is hiding and doing all of his magic to destroy people. It looks ridiculous. It's nothing but CGI.
Yeah. I
kept thinking, there is nowhere in England that looks like this. Like, the castle that they have for Camelot, there is literally nothing that looks like this.
It's the England of their minds.
But no, see, here's the thing. Londinium, at least,
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure it's not like street correct or anything like that, but at least that you get the feeling of this was a Roman city that's kind of falling apart.
They had the famous bridges that have buildings on them and stuff.
Right, yes.
Just like Ponte Vecchio.
Exactly, like Ponte Vecchio. Yeah. And that's what London Bridge, looked like.
There was a couple of them.
I kind of appreciate all the stuff in London because at least it's on like a real and human scale in its own way. They have like a Colosseum knockoff that's falling apart, and I don't remember if London had one of those, but that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So when I see Camelot at the beginning and it's like this insane castle, like, I'm sorry, England doesn't have good castles. I've been there. They don't have anything good. You want to find a good castle, you got to go to the continent. You got to go to France. You got to go to Germany.
They have good castles, but from like the 1800s. Or like later. Like Cardiff Castle is amazing.
Okay,
but that's
Cardiff Castle's pretty neat. Carnarvon Castle. Now, Carnarvon's a real castle.
Yeah.
And that is medieval. Mm-hmm. There was Edward II, who was a monster. Yeah. But, okay, that's a good castle. But, like, otherwise, the UK does not have good castles. Yeah. Like, they're just not what you think of when you think
France, Germany.
Yeah, those are castles.
Proper castles, yeah.
There's a reason why whenever people make these movies, they go to, they go to parts of, like, France and stuff to film Camelot because there's nothing good in the UK that looks like Camelot. That's my rant about the castle. So, yeah, the elephants are destroying the place. Uther is battling, and his brother Vortigern, played by Jude Law, is like, yeah, brother, I'm really helping you, sure. And, of course, the whole time he's double dealing, and he's got to deal with Mordred to kill Uther so that then he can become king. Uther ends up destroying Mordred. Vortigern, with the magic that he has from these sirens who live in the moat under Camelot, uses magic because he is a magic user himself.
The sirens is one ugly one and then two hot ladies.
Yeah,
and they all have tentacles.
They all have tentacles. Yeah, they're kind of like Ursula in The Little Mermaid, but with a lot more tentacles. Yeah, it's actually kind of a cool design, and I wish you could see them better in the film. Again, everything is too dark. Everything's too washed out. It's just the aesthetic of the time, and I hate it. Right? Because the idea is very cool. I like the idea that there's like evil sirens living in the waters underneath of Camelot. That's a cool idea. Yeah. And that they're working with Vortigern, who's using evil magic because he doesn't just want to become king. He is also building a tower which is going to be used to like focus his magic. Now, again, whoever wrote that into the script, there is a kernel of authentic story in there from the story of Vortigern's tower. Because in this movie, part of it is Vortigern is trying to build this tower, and he can't. It keeps, things go wrong with it. It keeps kind of half falling down. He can never get it finished. And because he can never get it finished, this is, he doesn't feel secure in his own rule. So that's, kind of a plot point. And that comes right out of Geoffrey of Monmouth, and I guess before him out of Nennius. Okay? And in those stories, it's actually a Merlin story where Merlin is a boy, and basically the other wizards tell Vortigern, well, the only way that this tower is going to be built is if you sacrifice this boy on its stones and use his blood. They find Merlin and going to kill him, and Merlin, because he is also a wizard and for a lot of different reasons, he's possibly part demon, depending which story you read, he can prophesy, he's magic, whatever.
Little Nicky.
Really? Little Nicky? Of all the things you could pull, Little Nicky. Real, Jesus Christ.
Anyway.
You could have said Jesus Christ, but no, you went with Little Nicky. Oh, what is wrong with you?
He's not part demon.